Okay, so this is going to be a part two of getting a DUI and going to jail. Now, where I last left off was I was in holding with a guy who said he had raped a chick, or that's what the charges they had gave him. And so this dude was bawling his eyes out. He was super sad, and I'm just sitting there like, like what do you say to that? So I don't remember saying anything. Um, So I'm in the holding booking area. It's kind of where they put you initially when you go to jail, and then or to the jail, and then they start doing some intake stuff of like getting me uh, answering the suicide questions. I think I had to get a maybe not a tetanus shot that night, but they gave me my clothing, which was like you know the nasty gel clothes, the big V neck, and then the nasty, very smelly sandals. So I got all that stuff, and they give you all your blankets and stuff. They don't like. I like. On top of this, I'm like super drunk still, and so I think I was because I was three times over the legal limit, and so I'm given all this stuff. I go. They put me in like a. I think it's kind of like an individual cell for that night. It has a double bunk and a toilet, and so at least I don't have to deal with anyone for the rest of the night. So I go into the cell. They have like all these different sheets they hand you, and I end up like so they have these like pads on the bunk beds, and instead of using the it's like a sleeping sack that goes over, or a sack that goes over the mattress. I used it in to sleep in, which is not the way you're supposed to use it. But so I woke up the next day like super disoriented, not knowing where I was, and I immediately throw up. Like I was like super hungover. My jaw was really sore, and I get a phone call. So I go make some phone calls. I'm pretty sure I called my mom to try to bail me out, and then I called some other people. So I got the ball rolling on that, and then like they kind of shuffle me around the jail for the rest of the day, and like I end up like in this one pod they call them. They have all these different pods, and the one they put me in has like nine guys. It's kind of an open theme, and there's like maybe it's eight guys, but there's like eight bunk beds stacked on top of each other. And these dudes are like hardcore Chicano dudes. And I'm like this, white dude, and I like start making the bed. I'm like hunkering down because I don't know how long I'm going to be there before someone bails me out. And he's like, the guy comes up to me, he's like, no, Wesley, we'll make your bed. Like totally like prison style stuff. Like, hey, we'll make your bed. You don't make it, we do this. Like, and I'm like, oh my Jesus Christ. And like right at that moment, the prison jailer staff guy comes up. He says, Brent Ryder. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you've been bailed out. So luckily, I'm only in there for like one night and the following day, and then I get out later that evening. So that's like kind of the end of that whole part for the moment. Um, so fast forward a bit, my court date is set. I think it was like maybe a month and a half out, something like that. And so, you know, I'm super naive at this point. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to jail, right? I went to jail already. I'm gonna go to court. They're gonna give me fines or something like that, right? So I go in and I'm like, there's a lot of people going through the motions. So I'm like, my last name is R. So like later in the day, when I get to go up now. AJ, I don't really know how much trouble I'm in at this point. I know I like have the one DUI and then the one I ran from, and so I'm like, okay, I'm still naive. I'm like, okay, I should be all right. So I'm like watching movies on like a tablet in the way back of the courtroom. And, I mean, these courtrooms are huge, so I get up there on the stand, and it was the only time I've like ever stuttered. I stuttered in front of the judge. Well, hold on, let me back up. So before that, you go into like this side room that has all these like prosecutors maybe, or public defenders or something. I don't know what they are, but there's a whole room full of these dudes, and they read off your charges. Now I had like four or five, And they're like, okay, we'll make a deal with you. We'll drop everything but the DUI. And I think at the time I made a funny joke. I was like, can you just drop the DUI and I'll take the other ones? And it was, he wasn't having that. He was like, no, 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 we don't do that. And so I signed some papers. I agreed to the DUI. I wasn't going to fight this. Like, I know a lot of people would, but I was like, whatever. I did it. I was wrong. So then after that, you go sit back down for a minute. And then I think I was called up as soon as I like got seated again. And then I decided to walk all the way back up to the podium, and I'm talking to the judge. And this is in front of a lot of people. And I stutter. Like, I stutter because the judge is like, okay, so you got a DUI, blah, 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 and you ran from this other DUI. Explain that. And I'm like, I didn't really have an excuse. I was just like, I was scared, And he was not happy with all that, what I said. And I was like stuttering and just not on my game. I had no idea what I was doing up there. And so he's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to give you 30 days in jail. I'm like, okay. It's all coming at me real fast. He was saying all these stipulations, like you have to take like random UAs and all this other stuff. And then he said 30 days in jail. And so I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, and he was like, well, you're going to jail today. And so literally there's a cop standing next to me, and he puts me in cuffs. And I'm like, I had no clue at this point that I was going to jail. And so I was like, oh, shit. Like, I have a ride waiting for me in the parking lot because I was like, I don't know how long this is going to be. Then I should be back out. And so my hands are cuffed. I was like, hey, I need to tell this person that's out in the parking lot that I'm going to jail, like, now, today. And he's like, well, we normally don't do that. So, but he's like, I'll let you do it this one time. So he takes my hands, he puts them in front of me and lets me use my phone for a minute. So I'm like, he's like, just make it real quick. You can send one text. So I'm like, I put going to jail today, 30 days. Love you. Bye. And so that's that. And this superstructure of this courthouse is insane. It's the Jeffco like courthouse building, and the jail is like somewhere near it. It's like maybe underground or something. Like you walk underground to get to the jail part. And so they give me some paperwork. So they put me in this like room back behind the where the judge is, and then he's like, okay, you ready? And I'm like, yeah. And so he hands me this paperwork. He's like, okay, you're gonna walk down that corridor. And he's like, it's super long. It's like a mile or half mile or something. I'm like, okay. And literally it's just a giant long tunnel that you're walking down handcuffed by yourself to the jail part of the like the intake area of the jail. And so I go into like another holding area. I'm like still dressed in my clothing at this time. And you go in there, you sit for a while. I talked to a dude that was in there because I was in there for probably like an hour or two. He was talking to me about how he was in jail for a white collar crime of like money laundering, insider trading, or something like that. Which I was like, wow, that sounds nuts. I've never heard of something like that. But and so I'm sitting there forever, and then they call me up to like basically go to the actual main jail part, and I'm like, okay. So then they give me like jail clothes again, and I get the jail clothes. You got to do the squat and cough thing where like you're nude basically, and you like turn around, you spread your butt cheeks, which I don't know. Like I don't know how clean I was, and I got a pretty hairy area down there, and so you like it's highly embarrassing. So I'm doing that. And then they basically take you from that area and take you into these like different areas, like pods, or like depending on your crime of what you've done, there's like different areas, like more violent, more like DUIs, more like all that kind of stuff. So there's like a bunch of these different pods there. So there's like a central dude that sits there, and then there was like two tiers of prisoners. Each little like half octagon had about 8 bunk beds stacked up. Now I had been to this jail before, but only for that like one night, so I didn't really remember much of it, and I was in a different part. So I go to this pod, and I'm in. Initially, they put you in completely different colored clothing, and I don't know why they do that, but I think it's just so they like you stand out like a sore thumb. So everyone in there is like this lighter yellow color, and I'm in this like nasty looking orange color, and so is like this other guy I'm with. And so we go in there, and they assign you a bunk. So I go in this like pod area. I'm on the top bunk of this like back corner. You got like a locker, you got your bunk beds, and I'm like settling down now for like the reality just hit that I'm gonna be in jail for 30 straight days. And the story switches a little bit because it was actually only 26 total days, but initially at that moment I thought 30 straight days. So I'm like, oh shit, like this is intense. Now I know some of you have been to jail way longer than that, but like this was my experience. So I'm terrified at this point. I like there's all these people that these dudes that look hard. They are hard looking dudes. The guy that I ended up on the top bunk of, the guy below me, his name was Pounds, like like Pounds, or the other kind of Pounds, but this big black dude, like huge looking black dude, with all these tats. He ends up being super nice, but yeah, initially he scared the hell out of me. I was like, oh my god. So I get up on the top bunk. Like at this point, I'm kind of exhausted from like the court, the long day in court, the whole jail experience. Everything's kind of like hitting me at the same time. So I just like get up there, and I'm just start sleeping. I'm asleep. I kind of sleep through the next like maybe straight 2 days. I think at one point the Pounds dude that was below me, he was like, "Are you okay, man?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just kind of depressed, and this is all new for me, and just like I didn't know like what to really do. I mean, you basically just sit there. I feel like jail was for me. It was just like an extreme waste of time. Like there's all these people in there that they could utilize for something, and we just were sitting there doing nothing. And so those first couple days were kind of hard. I also like came in. I had a bunch of cash on me. I had like close to 400 or 500 bucks in cash on me because I had just got paid or something. And but I came in like on a Thursday after this thing called commissary. And commissary is like basically all the non-jail food you can order from like this like list of shit. It's like sneakers and coffee and ramen, and everyone orders that like every week, but I had just missed it. And so I didn't know they don't give you coffee. And so up to this point I've been drinking coffee for years, like maybe 10 straight years of drinking coffee, or maybe like 8 or so. But so and when you stop drinking coffee like that, almost immediately you feel terrible. Like I felt so terrible. I'm also susceptible to migraines. And so that first 2 days, it was not only I was depressed, but like I was coming down from like caffeine withdrawal, and I was also like I had a terrible migraine that went on for about a week until I could reorder, or like when commissary came in again, I could order them, which I went to town on at that point. I ordered so much shit, which was weird because everyone like started trying to hit me up for stuff, which there's like so many rules and weirdness going on in jail that I didn't really understand at the time. So the story gets better though. It gets way better. That's where I'm going to end it now. That'll be part 2. There's like there's gonna be part 3, probably 4 parts, because like I was in there for 30 straight days. I made like a calendar, which is nuts. Like, you got to see this calendar. It's crazy. I'll show it on the next part. It was like a 31-day count or 30-day calendar with like scratch marks on each day. I was like, trying to keep my mind sharp. There's also a story of a ninja. Like the ninja, you gotta stay tuned for that part, because the ninja dude, he was like, it was insane. It was insane. But so there's like a ninja. It's just like the ins and outs of like, going to jail for 30 days, or like the stress of it, and coping. So yeah, stay tuned for part 3, and then there'll be a part 4. I'll probably wrap it up.